Hi everyone. Yeah, let me make sure my camera's not double audioing. It's not. How's everyone doing today? How are you doing, Luke?
I'm doing well, How about you?
So good. Always wide awake at whatever time this is, Pacific time. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about balancing the beautiful monstrosity that we call Rivals of Aether II. So yeah, let's just get right. Let's just get right into talking about some stuff. We can maybe hop in training and look at some characters individually if we want, or talk about some recent changes. But for now, just give us a high level and kind of your average day. What's your interaction with kind of closed beta and Trevor? Like, how would you say? Let's say there's a change that is, I don't know, very specific that goes in the game. I'm trying to give an example from the last patch. I mean, the Clarin hitbox one, I would say, is not super specific because I think
the Absa forward special change is a good example.
All right, walk us through how that came about, how it initially came up, what were you involved in? Yeah, walk us through it.
How it originally came about. I don't remember who exactly brought it up, but basically the idea was Absa has these really strong aerials, especially forward air and back air. And her previous ability to just immediately after hitting either one, just follow up with forward special and guaranteed hit a snipe no matter what, was just ever so slightly making it so all of her kill percents were a little earlier than perhaps intended, because every forwarder or backer she could follow up with forward special consistently if they didn't have the opportunity to DI out. And part of what Trevor wanted to look at was around what frame is it that the opponent is getting hit by the cloud. And so we did like a bunch of tests of like what percent or what frame of the channeling animation the cloud actually hits the opponent usually. And it's usually around frame 40 to 45. So that's the frame where we were targeting how far the cloud is on that frame. And that's why after we originally just lowered the acceleration, we were like, okay, the Absas are right. This does affect the early cloud movement too much. Let's have it scale after a certain point so that it doesn't affect the early cloud but still targets the late cloud. So that's how that change came about, and how the second change also came about.
Right. The semi-rebirth.
We wanted to more specifically target just the long-distance cloud snipes, the guaranteed long-distance cloud snipes, without affecting her like zoning game as much, or at all. I mean, the first 20 frames or so are basically the same now as they used to be.
Right. Yeah, because with her, you run the risk of DI out. It just kills so early as is, right? And then DI in is a guaranteed snipe. Yep. So, yeah, how do you think that specific change compares to something like I know Pit in early PM, like 302 and maybe even Next had kind of similar with his arrows, like guaranteed snipes. I think on all DIs though.
The thing is, Pit didn't just have arrows. He could do arrow, double jump, arrow, double jump, arrow. Like he could just string them together back then.
And it was like guaranteed.
It was really silly.
And I remember being similar, right? It was basically like if the hit didn't kill you, the arrow following you.
Yes.
Would basically be guaranteed, and then like you said, even combo. I forget how they nerfed arrows, but I wonder if it was like a similar.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I know I don't. You still see the repeated snipes, but I don't see like the guaranteed follow up a strong hit with like just kind of that guaranteed hit. for me, I kind of like the offstage snipes. I think they're really cool. The problem is when, yeah, they're buffered and there's no. Basically,
it wasn't even.
Yeah,
it wasn't even hard. There was like a 10 frame window or something where,
gotcha.
as long as you land within 10 frames of hitting the forward air or back air, you just had it guaranteed every time unless they DI'd out.
Right, and you don't want to do. There's like harder. Like I think I don't know if we discussed it too much, but I know Trevor and I had in the past. There's like harder hand fixes you can do where it's like, landing lag on any quote unquote, forward air, back air, right? Any horizontal kill ones, or even like putting it on a cooldown. But those all feel like really clunky, right? Because like you still want her to have that combo ability, so it's really just targeting that kind of far away. That far away snipe, close to the blast zone snipe. In Rivals 1, we saw the snipes like it, but it didn't seem as guaranteed. Do you know like what kind of mechanically
Drifty
was?
eye.
You think
Drifty
so?
eye.
Really?
Yes.
Drifty eye out?
Out for avoiding it, and also for surviving it, because its
Gotcha.
knockback was so low that if you just Drifty eye in, you barely go anywhere.
Right. I get
Even
what
in
you're
Rivals 2, it's pretty weak knockback, but it's still like, I don't know, 50 to 100 centimeters ish.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. So both the
Which
drift
probably doesn't mean much to the viewers, but that's not much.
Yeah. The problem is the cloud's hitting you so close to the blast zone. It's kind of like a maple nair after a tether, where there's certain distances where it doesn't matter what DI you do because you're either so close to the horizontal, you're so close to either blast zone that top or side that just the knockback is going to get you. Yeah, I guess drift down makes sense because you get both the drift in knockback that the Absa has to react to, and you get the DI in plus the drift in on the cloud, which is a pretty weak move. I guess we could have messed with side B knockback just being a little more vertical too. So there's even less.
Would
snipes.
also have done something. Yes.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure how much upwards it would have to be.
Right.
So right now it's 45, I believe.
Yeah, more up. Like I mean, you just more upward the DI in. You're getting less and less.
Yeah.
You'd have to be like right. The more you have to be right on the blast zone. Anyway, yeah, super interesting problem. I think right now what we have is pretty good, but I wouldn't say it's not necessarily too bad. So we'll see if there's more changes. But yeah, a lot of different options, kind of.
Yep. And now that we have the current implementation, it's a lot easier to adjust it because we do have already the code set up for decreasing it after a certain point linearly, which is nice.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, so let's try to think of something else. You got another interesting one from this latest patch that went out.
Latest, like 1.5.6?
Yeah, so there was kind of a couple
many
reverts, couple step backs, I like to call them. We got Kragg forward special. How involved were you with that?
I just said, wow, this looks weird. It looks like he's floating, and everyone was like, yeah, it does look like he's floating. And then it's changed, and I haven't even really even seen
Let's
the difference.
see the new
much.
one, because the new one looks less like he's floating, and we like that. People like that? I don't know if people like that. I like the new one is less crazy.
My favorite idea I saw someone mention was to make for the previous one, when it really looks like he was floating, we should have Kragg like flap his wings or like try to fly. and that's the justification for the low gravity.
Dude, ZV has wanted Kragg wings for a decade at this point. I'm like, Kragg doesn't have wings. He's a rock beast.
All right, hear me out, Dan. Let's give Kragg Brawl Charizard Glide.
Brawl Charizard Glide, like the worst glide in the game, and then like a glide attack that like is just on top of himself and is also pretty bad,
Yep.
considering how terrible his glide is. I mean,
Exactly.
I do kind of want to do like a brawl style glide at some point, because you know, one of our as crazy as it is, one of our design things is like all the air characters have a unique double jump. Which in design docs we've played with, what does that mean? You know, we've gone pretty liberal in terms of does it have to actually feel different or not, or kind of just like, I don't know, combine into specials or something. But I always liked the glide, although I don't know, like, it's such a balancing. You gotta put some more limitations on it than Brawl had. Like, other than Charizard, all the glides were pretty crazy.
Just a little crazy. Yeah.
You just go all the way down, all the way up, all the way down. Especially to, like, yeah, a game like this where every character has a wall jump.
Just think of like Meta Knight, where you could go from the left of Hyrule Temple to the right with just one glide and nothing else.
Yeah.
Underneath everything, all the way up around. It
was pretty crazy. Okay, so yeah, and then I guess that Kragg one's a good follow-up though, of like, how involved are you personally in any given balance change, right? Like, how many is kind of just Trevor and the beta testers, how many is really driven by specific beta testers and it's like a pretty solid idea?
I think that a decent percentage of them are just Trevor after either like watching a tournament or reading beta, like, oh, this does seem a bit egregious, let's tone it down a bit. And then once it's already in the code and there's a build ready, I'm like, oh, that's I didn't know that was happening. And then I'm like, all right, there's this one thing about this, let's change that. And then there's a lot of smaller, like, I think more of what I do is suggestions and adjustments after Trevor's already implemented them.
Right.
Although sometimes it's Trevor will come to me and be like, hey, Luke, can you check this one thing for me? For the Absa one, I helped with checking the frame that the cloud hits the opponent to find that it was around frame 40 to 45.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen in chat and like our internal discords, it's like some of the really niche things that we didn't know, or like almost bugs, but also do affect balance. But it's like, you know, I don't know, some mechanic combining with another mechanic in a way we didn't expect is often not only you bring it up, but then you start exploring like different. It's like, okay, well, if we want to fix this but preserve this, you know, here's one option, here's another option.
There's a lot of trade-offs.
There's a lot of discussion between me, you, and Trevor about like, because the funny thing is when those come up, those really niche ones, I feel like a lot of times me and Trevor we kind of come in with like opposite preferences, right? It's for me, it's like, I want to retain the quirkiness as much as possible. A lot of times Trevor's more like, let's just steamroll this and get a fix, right? Like, let's, you know, like, I don't know, on something that's wasn't supposed to be a mechanic anyway, right?
Yeah.
And then usually I feel like usually we either find a medium, or if it's not gameplay impacting enough, we do usually find the quirky fix, honestly. The logic being, like, let the emergent gameplay sit as long as it's not going to vastly change how a character plays or a situation plays. You know, you don't want I don't know, like stuff we're working on now with with Slade and other things. It's like, you don't want a character that like wasn't intended to be an item character to like be an item character, right? So it's like those kinds of, like, I don't know, I guess high level changes. But yeah. Got another question for you. So for game balance wise, I would say one thing I've seen on the Null and everywhere else is kind of like a frustration with the fact that it's mostly nerfs, right? That characters
there's a mixture of opinions. I do see more outspoken people talking about not liking how nerf heavy we've been, but I feel like every time I see that, there's also people applying saying, no, we actually still needed these nerfs. Their characters are all still too strong. So definitely a mixture of those opinions.
Yeah, I would say right. My follow-up for that is though, so even though it's been mostly nerfs, and I think like a lot of changes honestly have been good, because the one thing we've said since the beginning is like we want to, you know, make sure that the frustration, you know, like as fun as the characters are, right, we're trying to keep the characters fun but reduce the unfun, the anti-fun of playing against them. So that's kind of where a lot of the, you know, kind of ongoing balancing goes. That's one half. The other half is it's not a lot of people, right? I think if Trevor was here, you kind of be looking at the whole balanced team in terms of people who call changes and also implement changes, which means we tend to avoid. We have ideas sometimes. Sometimes we're like, wow, yeah, Loxodon, it would be really cool if he had a different special move for whatever, you know, forward special was just a different attack entirely. We don't really have like the bandwidth, nor would it be good for us right now to be full out swapping out attacks and then deciding we don't like it and then going backwards. So we do tend to go, you know, more number changes, which tend to be more nerfs. Even if you go look at Rivals 1, a lot of the quote unquote buffs historically were, you know, just straight up new mechanics, right? Like Kragg Rockpool, I think is one that I remember pretty well. Changed Kragg a lot, but it was basically a new attack.
I think a good example is Kragg Neutral Air in Rivals 1, when it went from the washing machine to what we know now.
Mm-hmm.
It went from being a really strong but not very interesting move to a more interesting move that people didn't think was as strong but turned out to probably be even better.
They hated
like
it
a lot
first.
better, actually.
Yeah, they hated it at first, because the funny thing was the washing machine was mostly inside him, right? It didn't have like the outward hitboxes like the new one does. It was
still pretty big.
It was big, but it was like a circle. You know, it was just like a big circle. It wasn't like that the four dots outside.
Yeah.
I don't think, at least. I forget now. It's been a while.
I don't remember.
But yeah, that is a good example of like pretty big change. I mean, something like that, I could see us doing that as long as we didn't have to change the animation too much. But yeah, the I would say the consensus among Trevor and like the average beta tester is still that the character power levels throughout the kit are still, or throughout their kits is still pretty high, right? And that's what causes some frustration. So like, I think until they're at a point where they feel like game balance wise all the characters are kind of where we want to be, I think that's why like we would tend to see more nerfs than buffs. So my question for you is, like, I think
we're approaching that point.
Where do you think we're at power level wise?
I haven't really seen as much talk from the beta testers about like, oh, every character is still broken. It's more like this one move on this one character is still really difficult to deal with, or really annoying, or has too many options out of it for free. Like, I haven't really seen as much discussion about, oh, this whole character just all of their frame data is too good, things like that.
Yeah, how do you feel about people still saying like the power level overall is still too high, right? Like characters are still too, you know, like one thing is like I guess people coming from other platform fighters, I feel like especially early on, this was a pretty common complaint of like, hey, every character is so strong that that's what makes the game frustrating, right? I'm playing against a bunch of S tiers instead of a bunch of A tiers. And because of how strong they are, right? Their individual gimmicks are so strong that I get frustrated because when I queue up ranked, there's maybe a handful, 3 characters I like to play against, and then the rest I'm like, and they attributed that to the power level. So like, where do you think compared to launch would you say, yeah, how do you feel the overall power level of characters is?
I think it's approaching a much better spot. I mean, definitely throughout all of the betas, it was not in a good spot. There was always something each month that was like, oh, this is the broken thing this month, patch that out. Oh, this is the broken thing this month, patch that out, etc. I mean, lately, like, it's there are some characters where we don't even need to change them for them to feel like they're at the right level. I think that might be a personal opinion, but I think that the I was gonna say the water characters. It's just Rano and Orcane. Edlis, I still think, is not at the right spot, but Rano and Orcane feel like they're around the right spot for where they should be. To me personally, I know that's gonna be a unpopular opinion among some people, but those two, they feel like they have what they need for their game plan right now, and that they don't have as much that's like really overpowering right now. I mean, Rano has really good moves, but his troubles with airspeed are what keep him in a decent spot.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a pretty fair opinion on those two specifically. Rano definitely, I mean, things were loud around him the first time we touched him in Zetter, which was like, well, first time since launch, right? I think he got a lot of nerfs in beta too. He was probably one of the strongest characters in the Kickstarter beta, just kind of doing
his tech chasing.
Yeah, that. He was doing it a little quietly, but not that quietly, right? I remember some beta tournaments where he was consistently top 8, but yeah, a little scary. And then he got hit in the summer, the start of the summer patch, whenever that was, the one that Zetter also got hit in. Yeah. And I think Kragg also got hit in. And it's funny because I feel like that patch, that one patch alone, just kind of we did multiple changes at once. The noise around Rano really dropped. And then, you know, Zetter and Kragg picked back up. They ended up getting some more nerfs recently. But the Rano chatter really dropped. I know people complained, like, oh, he's like not viable because he's not getting as much tournament results. But the funny thing was, I always thought that was more.
He's one of the most played. He's one of the most played characters at high level.
The complaints of him no longer hitting the top 8s. He kind of had like a little streak, I would say, in the back half of last year. But
the 3 players who got top 8 with Rano, 4 players I can think of who got top 8s with Rano. 3 of them haven't been playing, and one of them is the best Absa in the world. Right. So
I always thought it was more like a player and a bracket thing that was going on, because yeah, like I don't think the character. I think the character has the tools kind of at high level. It's just more like once you get to top 8, especially like above top 8, right? Like once you get to like 5th and higher, it's so much dependent on which players are playing which characters, right?
Yeah.
Like so at that point, you know, if Cake Assault, for example, if his secondary instead of Fleet was any other character in the game, then you could be like, oh wow, well this character played in the grand finals.
Cake won a tri-state local with Kragg a month ago or so, because he just wanted to show how broken Kragg was, something like that.
Yeah, there's our top skill level. I mean, they really do feel like they can do it with anyone, and it's not even just Cake. I think you know, when Plup does show up, can kind of command any character. I think Zeus the Goose has this crazy Kragg, but also can play every character at a pretty ridiculous level too. So yeah, I personally don't put a lot of stock into like who's top 8ing majors necessarily.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to think about characters in terms of like how easy and consistent they are in a tournament setting, because it does affect balance. Like I think someone like Maple and someone like Raster, they're allowed to have these really high potential ceilings, I like to call it, and it's been true in Rivals 1 as well. It's like when you get somebody who's confident, playing well, and they had a good night's sleep the night before. You know, someone like Blue in Rivals 1 or someone like Plup in Rivals 2 on Maple, and they could come in and just make a character look unbeatable, right? At kind of any point, right? Like Maple's been nerfed and things have been adjusted, but it's like the character, the possibilities are still there. But the fact that it's so hard to do that consistently, right? To be a Maple main and like also then have a tournament where you die at 55 because you DI'd the wrong aerial out. Helps keep the overall game balanced, right? Where you're like, hey, maybe I'd rather play a Zetter or a Kragg or someone where I can make a couple more mistakes and still make it through the bracket. So I think like those we think about as well, right? It's like, yes, we're okay with these theoretical ceilings because we know just kind of how hard it is to be consistent.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I mean, Raster, the past 2 weekends, Raster actually won 2 decently sized regionals on the East Coast, 2 different Rasters.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely, he's out there. He can do it.
Human Lime, didn't he win both Rivals 1 and Rivals 2 at a Hitfall?
And I think it was Merps who won something in New England, Connecticut.
Let's go
somewhere
Merps.
Up there.
Raster's starting to, and we've seen what happens when people get consistent with a character like Raster. I would say like it's kind of funny how the end of Rivals 1, I think Raster had like a pretty sick reign, and it was kind of like other people, right? It was like Marlon and other people who didn't necessarily play as much Raster earlier that were kind of like pushing the character to its, just showing what was consistent, right? And if you just lean on the things that are consistent, you're like, oh wait, this character is still got its strengths and also has ways to just close stocks a little more consistently. Oh, and Maple too. I forgot that the end of Rivals 1, you could say the top 2 characters were Maple and Raster, honestly, in terms of
they were.
Yeah.
There are people who will tell you Ori was up there as well. I think Ori was number 3, but I think Maple and Raster were just, if you were doing everything right, those 2 should be beating most other characters.
Yeah. And they just optimized.
I don't know about Rivals in 2026, honestly.
Shovel Knight's number one. Shovel Knight's number 1.
Shovel Knights and Hodans and
Hodan,
Sylvanos's.
Yeah, actually, those 3 might be a lot higher in the conversation than they were, before Rivals 2 came out. That's for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It turns out that the characters who aren't in Rivals 2, a lot of their mains are still playing Rivals 1.
Yeah, well, they're getting optimized 1, 2, and then they also are just strong, right? I think like any character that
every character can do it. Yeah.
Well, it reminds me of Smash Ultimate with the DLC, right? The thing happening with Smash Ultimate is sometimes, yes, they are strong, but what really happens is like in both Smash 4 and Ultimate now, like the dev team goes away, and those characters get like an extra year of people figuring stuff out. So then when they are optimized, they're kind of left. And Rivals 1, I would say like the workshop characters, even Shovel Knight, he was the last DLC, and we were always kind of just lightly buffing him for a while, and it was sometimes me just throwing in 1 or 2 stupid ideas per, I would say like twice a year. I think ZB would say that my last one is what broke the camel's back and maybe made Shovel Knight a menace.
Which one was the last one?
The forward tilt. Just let it cancel into anything, I think, even in the air. You know how it's like, it's basically like a jab now. Forward air, forward tilt, right? I think we just gave it more cancel options to make it feel kind of like a jab when you connect. Maybe
I think that might have been after I stopped being like a active Shovel Knight player.
Yeah,
I had my Shovel Knight era too.
Well,
was like season 5 or 6.
I mean, this was after the the Workshop 4 and stuff, so this was like a very late change.
Yeah.
But but that also means then, now what people are doing on Shovel Knight, like, we still monitor Rivals 1, but it's more like finding game-breaking things and not necessarily overseeing the balance anymore.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say, but I forgot what it was. But it was about Rivals 1. I forget.
Somebody asked, how much of balance changes are gated by the fact that new animations are expensive?
Probably less than you might think. I think that there are some changes that people are like, oh, they should just redo this move or blah blah blah, and it turns out that a lot of those things we don't do because we think that there would be big backlash from the players of that character, especially like if it's a move from Rivals 1. It's a lot harder to change a move that's been there for like 10 years.
It's funny because like I still see some complaints of Olympia changes, right? Where it's like, if Olympia played more like Rivals 1, it would be easier to balance her because I like XYZ. I think we said it when we first made Olympia. My biggest issue with Rivals 1 Olympia, even though I played her kind of as my main after she launched, I never got any good results. So I would say Kragg was probably still my main in Rivals 1 at that point. But she's just too aerial, in my opinion, for a ground character.
No, yeah. Her forward special just enables so much air-to-air combos.
She was just off stage, and she was off stage in a way where she's not truly at disadvantage, right? Because she got so many options, and she's also trying to set up hits, right? She's also trying to reversal you, and she was just out there for so long.
Anytime I see Olympia hit forward special to forward special in Rivals 1, I'm just like, this is why this move is gone. Like it just, she's not supposed to be the character who just combos you in the air.
Yeah,
she's supposed to be a character who plays from the ground, gets a combo going, and just takes you off stage with it, or takes you into all the way to the top blasting with it.
That forward special would be fun to do on an air-based character, because then you could do one that's a little heavier, probably not as much of a fast faller as Olympia, but one that has, more normal fall speeds, but then they have specials that are, keeping them airborne.
Yeah, that it would also feel really weird to have her be able to stay in the air that long with her current gravity.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really weird. Like a more floaty character, like a Loxodon.
It would feel like a have and have not, right? It's like when you can't forward special, you're basically like a rock, and when you can, you feel like you're Jigglypuff with Pound, like an endless. You're Jigglypuff with an aerial rollout, basically, where you just get to go as far as you want.
We should have given Armando rollout. Too late.
It
would fit him so well.
Didn't like the Snow Armando have something like that somebody modded? I feel like it has a move similar. I don't forget, like where you go into a big snowball. I'd have to play it again, but yeah, one of the modders made a snow version of Armando, Snowmondo. Forget the name, but it's actually sick, and I think it does have some kind of snowball rollout. Wait, why did I bring up the Olympia one? Oh yeah, you were mentioning changing moves. Yeah. I think for me too, for animation, it's like, it's not necessarily the fact that it's so expensive. It's that when a problem arises, there's like, honestly, like kind of 10 or more potential options that our team could seriously consider in terms of like how we want to adjust this. And sometimes, sure, maybe a new attack / new animation / even adjustment for Claren, right? Like actually changing a swipe visual to adjust and then moving the hitboxes after that. Those are all possible, right? Anything's possible. The thing is, those ones, you'd have to have a lot of confidence, right? To spin up other teams, right? Because as soon as you say, hey, I want to change the animation and then change the swipe. I guess in that case, it would just be an animator. But in some cases, we're involving an animator, a VFX artist, mend on sound and audio as well. We're hitting them all up to make this change. And before you see it, it's usually, those changes are usually honestly come from me, right? Because it's something I'm really confident in, and I'm saying like, hey, we just need to adjust. We basically need to do a little bit of an overhaul, right? Something similar to what we did in Rivals 1 with like Sylvanas and Eliana. And that's because I can be like, I'm confident that just in terms of pure game feel, like this is what I want. Without having that kind of confidence, it's hard to basically go for that big a change out the gate, right? Because it's harder to test, and like I said, there's 10 other ways, and some of the other ways are very low touch, and like Luke mentioned, are not going to make the mains as angry because you didn't change one of their favorite moves. Especially as these characters get older, they're more and more established. That's why, like, anytime we wanted to change something in development, like Maple Tether, I was like, we got to do it. We got to do it before the character comes out, right? Because I don't want to do the up B one and then be like, oh, we still have the, like, my biggest thing with up B was like, I hated how you had to get your stick over, and if you weren't thinking correctly, you would get up tethers way too frequently in Rivals 1. And it's funny because I still get accidental up tethers in Rivals 2. But now it's like, this new input, you can be doing the tether direction you want when you hit the buttons, which is what I really like about the new one. But if we had launched with, or even done Kickstarter betas with the Rivals 1 input, and then we tried to change it, so much more
There'd
backlash.
be way more complaints than just the Rivals 1 players.
Exactly. So it's like those, and sometimes, honestly, I think the Maple Tether change is good. So right now, across this cast, there probably are changes like that, where it's like, we could maybe get something better, but it'd be like, we'd have to be really confident in it, and we'd have to be willing to accept the backlash, and then also devote the time, right? Whether that's UI or so that's why you don't see as many big sweeping changes as some people would want.
Still asking for is, I still think we should just replace Orcane up through. I hate that through.
Well, yeah, it's,
I think it's in a much better spot now that it the spread is different depending on the width of the character. But before that, it was just like, this move will never be good against small characters or bad against big characters. It'll always be too good in some situations and too bad in others. And then Trevor found that solution, and now it's at least like,
Trevor found that solution, man.
We're okay,
man.
I think.
No, I think
it was Trevor.
I asked him for that one.
You're the one who suggested reducing the width against the...
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I was just seeing people complain about it. I don't know if for sure I saw it, or if I was just like, let's just try this as an option. But I was like, let's use their... In Rivals 1, I had a width value, right? Every character did, which I think was separate from... It was separate from the actual black collision box that we had. But it kind of captured a character's width for like exactly like this. And my first question was like, does Trevor, do you even have this with the way ECBs work? And he's like, yep. And then I was like, can we, let's try this. Trevor did do like the reducing the random horizontal movement before on bubbles in general, which I think also helped make this a little bit better, right?
I think it's like the first 4 are always the same or something like that.
Yeah. I will say this move conceptually, so your part of like, let's just change this photo to something else, which isn't even a bad thought for a move like this, because this move, to be balanced, is so on a knife's edge, right? Like even ignoring how it's balanced right now, like for this move in general, right? Because the way it works is like the bubbles are trapping you, right? So a move like this can either guarantee into any aerial or be completely useless and you can't get anything out of it, right? And that in between, where sometimes you get an aerial and sometimes they get out, is very hard to hit And as we saw, especially across different character widths.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it is in a good place where you do get follow-up sometimes, they get out sometimes. It's usable, but it's not guaranteed. I think the one of the things that's funny about this move compared to others is that it's one of the few moves where it's frustrating on both sides, right? Because a lot of strong moves that you do, like Olympia up throw, for example, which I think one of the problems with that is it's just fast and it's straight up, and it can be frustrating to get comboed out of it. That's good for the Olympia, right? It's pretty much like, you know, even if they DI out, like you're pretty much always getting something good. Whereas this move, there's times where it's really bad for the Orcane player, and then they get frustrated that they even used it.
Yeah, I saw a clip someone did where they did the up throw, they angled it one way, the opponent DI'd the other way, and the opponent was like grounded and actionable before Orcane was actionable. And I was like, I mean, you should have just guessed their DI. But it doesn't change it from feeling bad.
Yeah, or when they just like SDI to a platform and then they like get in a land and then they like shield or do something else. Like
I remember there was a period of time, it might still be a thing, where like Raster on Godai Delta would just instantly land and could parry the bubbles. Something like that. I forget if that got changed.
Sounds great. Raster needs it, okay? It's funny because Orcane in general has always had interesting floaty matchups. Because he's always had this move. So it's like Raster, I feel like he always kind of lost in Rivals 1, at least a little bit. But then if the player is playing well or the Orcane's just like 1% better than the Raster, holy moly, would it be? Oh, yeah. No. It's because he's landing before bubble even hits.
Yeah.
You see that? That's like just a spacing thing. I wonder what we could do. I wonder what we could do about that. But yeah, he looks like
it's a really weird. It's such a weird throw.
He looks like he could shield. Yeah. Wait, let's see. He's got 5 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, you could definitely shield. He's gonna be shielding here. Yeah, he could have shielded.
Yeah, so don't use that throw directly under a platform unless you know that the character you're fighting doesn't land. I don't know why I even remembered, but Raster on Godai does land.
I mean,
I do like that there's the really silly thing you can do is you have a puddle on platform and you up throw and then you up B. But not on Raster on Godai. Because you would just parry it.
Well, the interesting thing is they still got to do something, right? So a lot of them would probably shield through these bubbles if they're shielding. So then you got what? Jump, Waveland. Can they shield the first one and then parry the next bubble that hits them?
Once a bubble hits your shield, you have a 10 frame parry lockout.
Right. Okay.
Specifically because there were situations where people were just shielding and they parried the bubbles.
So it's interesting, right? So like one of the reasons like something like this is in the game and can stay in the game and be valuable is if I'm the Orcane and I know this, there are setups, right? It's like, okay, I know they're going to sit through all of those and then they got to do an out of shield option. So do I just purposely go for it and then go for punish either the out of shield option, right? If they're going to do a shield drop aerial, punish that. Or in some cases, I'm just going to like hard call out that they're just going to stay in shield, right? And then just do a, a wavelength grab or something.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have a ton of recovery, honestly, on this one. Let's see. Yeah, 18 frames. Not terrible to get, because these are still hitting. At this point, yeah, there's still a couple more bubbles that would be hitting shield. I could get up there.
When I play Orcane, I don't have all the labbing, so I just I just go for down throw tech chase usually, or like forward throw, back throw at the ledge. Just get them off stage. I don't know any of the specific up throw combos, so I just don't bother, you know.
I feel you. I like using up throw because it's just fun, but I only play Orcane casually. Also, I really don't play Orcane now that I used a tilt stick. It's like specifically Orcane, and then I forget what character Trevor plays. Is the reason Trevor's got on his long-term to-do character-specific changes for tags. Because like he also is like, well, I don't want to change my tag before, and I also like want to play random. And there are some characters, either Raster or Orcane, where it's like, I just can't play Orcane with. I could try to learn how to do everything without strong stick, but it's just so much easier to do all the hydro plane without.
I changed to tilt stick, and hydroplane forward strong, hydroplane in general, those are hard. But the hardest thing for me is Edalus Dacus. I can't do Edalus Dacus on tilt stick. My muscle memory is 1,000 hours of Rivals 1 Edalus, always pressing the same button, and I just don't know how to do it on tilt stick.
Wait, can't you do can you use your grab button? Is that not a thing?
Not once you're farther in the dash attack.
Oh, interesting. You gotta go.
You can do the usual one, but once you're farther in it, I don't think you can.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And Edalus is like uniquely able to Dacus later.
Right. I wonder if we should let him do it later with grab.
I think some people wouldn't like that because they might actually want to get.
Yeah, you're right. Like a
dash attack into up air, or dash attack into nair with grab for nair.
I guess it's more
like
dash attack into jump cancel grab. You would be.
Which isn't a thing.
Wait, because you can't hit the one. Right, we can't cancel it. Yeah, but so then I think it's fine because to even do nair, you have to wait. Actually, hold on. Would it buffer the nair then if the grab is canceled or not prevented on this? Oh wait, I can't do.
Would assume so, but I'm not sure if the buffer window is at that point.
I think I somehow did it with shield A.
The window is the same.
I can't do it because my shield advantage. I don't want to change. My grab button is something else.
You can hold Z and then press T on your keyboard.
Oh, good idea. Yeah, let's try that. All right. Yeah, now I'm curious if I can buffer a nair because grab is locked out of this specific jump squat. All right, so I'm gonna just get into jump squat. All right, T on my keyword. Oh wait. Yeah. Huh. So normally you actually have to delay your nair. I use nair on Maple now. I use nair button all the time, which means sometimes I do accidentally get jump cancel grabs. But with Edalus, you don't have to. Which means, yeah, you're right. Some people might get they might get a late up strong when they want a nair if they hit the nair. If they hit the shoulder button before their jump registers. All right, let's do some questions. Let's get some questions from chat about game balance in general. Also, questions for Luke about his role in it. Questions about the PM cabal and how they pull the strings behind the scene, but nobody knows.
So I've heard.
Right. I remember when somebody called it out. They were calling out specifically Boyko, and I was like, "But Boyko's playing the numbers game, right? If you were in beta, I don't know. We should do at some point like a.
I think Boyko has typed the most characters in beta of anyone.
We should do a leaderboard for messages, for text sent, words placed at some point, and like post
I'm not
it.
sure about messages, but like Boyko is very thorough about
We could do
like
characters.
large posts explaining exactly why
Uh,
he thinks something should change.
yeah, so Boyko's influence is because Boyko has so many suggestions that you just through pure numbers.
Sometimes they're right.
Yeah, and Trevor and I don't think I read everything I know I don't read everything in beta just because
I don't think Trevor does either. Trevor, at the very least, when Trevor's like gone for like a weekend, he definitely doesn't read everything over the weekend.
Oh, for sure. But sometimes the conversation spirals, and then if you just read the end of the Monday, it's the same.
You get to the point where it spirals, and then you skip to the bottom.
Yeah. Like this thing they're talking about on Friday is the same on Monday, and they've just gone sometimes back. They flip back to the original issue. But I would say between the three of us, we probably do see, I would say like 90%. Even though we don't respond to 90%, we probably see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say part of the reason he's able to have influence is just so many different ideas and so many, I mean, kind of touching all characters and just all kinds of suggestions. And some of them get a lot of traction, and then eventually Trevor tries it out. Sometimes Trevor's already thinking it, right? I think if Trevor's already it's on his mind, right? That's why I like recently, like last fall when we would do dev ticket tournaments, I was like, I don't even want to play Trevor anymore because I can only play Maple, and he's gonna be like, his skill level, ours are approaching, which is problematic for me because I know that we're still not at the tippy top, right? And I'm like, yes, in Diamond, this thing on Maple probably is a problem, but I'm like, trust me and know that there are answers. But yeah, it is a little scary for me. But if Trevor's already thinking about things, and he kind of has a main, but I mean, not really. He usually plays whatever the latest character is, plus a little Loxo Raster, I guess would be his two most played other than those. So
could be.
Yeah, he's always thinking about kind of every character in terms of both playing as it and playing against it.
I mean, same for me. I even in Rivals 1, I played every character. There was the season I got ranked top 50 in Rivals 1. Across my tournaments that counted, I had sets where I had game wins with 8 different characters.
That's crazy.
More than half the cast at the time.
In R1, in my mind, you were Daedalus and then Shovel Knight after.
Until I was good. And then after that, I was like, I had a no specials Kragg month. Then I had a Zetter era, a Forsburn era. I went Forsburn against Trevor at Super Smash Con 2017. And I killed him with old Forsburn up smash. The cape that went like really high up.
I love that one.
I miss it. It was so funny.
It was so big and also so bad at connecting into the dagger still.
My favorite tournament I ever played in, there was a tournament. I want to say it was season 5, I think. It was like Water Weekly 3. Yeah, Water Weekly 3. I beat a Clarin in the Clarin Ditto. I beat a Kragg in the Kragg Ditto. I beat a Rano in the Rano Ditto. I beat a Shovel Knight in the Shovel Knight Ditto. I beat a Forsburn in the Forsburn Ditto. And then I lost Grand Final set 1 and had to go Daedalus to win set 2. Like, just beating 5 different players in their main character Ditto. And these are good players. It was Crusader, Moonakil, Durai, and Lancon for 4 of those. Like,
dude, they all hated you.
That was my peak.
Just know that they were all salty, but that actually does sound amazing. That's funny. Did we ever play in bracket? I feel like we did, but maybe not. I had played a couple other Daedaluses. I
don't know if we've ever played in bracket.
Maybe. I don't know either. I know, like, I played. I'm trying to think of the other Daedalus. Well, there was one time when I was playing pretty well. I want to say Atmos, maybe.
Axmos.
Yeah, I feel like we played when I was playing well, and I still lost. But I was like, I could have gotten that. It's like a loser spawn run where I was like,
I was thinking you might have played Skittles in NAS 20.
Is
The one that Pew Pew and SFAT entered.
Oh.
That was the week after I won, so I wasn't allowed to play.
Maybe that sounds familiar. Pew Pew and SFAT also entered they entered what, CEO Dreamland, which was pretty fun.
Think so?
And then at that tournament too, I was practicing, and I remember I lost to, I think, Mini on stream, and I was like, dang.
Oh, you lost to JFM Hunter in that bracket, which is another Edalus.
Jeez, too many Edalus. How do you find that so fast, dude? That's not real.
I know what to type in my browser. It's narivals.challenge.com/NAS20.
Yeah. And Rivals 1.
I mean, there's only 2 challenge groups that matter. It's NA Rivals and MSB.
I think in Rivals 1, I was my skill level was higher in Rivals 2, and I practiced more, but I have similar results because there's just more people in Rivals 2. But I think in Rivals 1, I almost always was entering for fun to enter something. I think in Rivals 2, I'd probably remember my losses more because I was trying harder. In Rivals 1, I have so many losses. I mean, I went a lot of some brackets I know too, so it's really hard to remember.
I remember them less in Rivals 2 because I don't think of myself as a competitor really in Rivals 2.
Yeah, I think
I've always just been trying whatever. I think in the betas I kind of tried a bit, but once the game was out, I'm like, yeah, these guys are grinding more than me. I have to play all the characters. I can't just pick one. Like,
well, I think one of the
although once Slay's out, I'll have a main.
You better grind it. One of the humbling things in Rivals 2 I noticed early on, which actually kind of fueled me to play it more, but for some people it definitely hit, is when Rivals 2 first came out, if you're a Rivals 1 player, there's so many more play styles that you could lose to, and also you don't recognize the tag, right? I feel like in Rivals 1, if you're good, you hop on Rivals 1 on Master. Yeah. It's like if you're gonna lose,
you know every tag you see.
Yeah, you know everyone. And in Rivals 2, you could lose to just somebody who's really good at melee, and they put a week into learning one character, and they can get you. For some people, that's motivation. For some people, that's like, okay, yeah, you gotta decide. You're like, all right, am I gonna lock in and like actually grind this and get good, or am I gonna be more of a a less serious competitor? But yeah, if you have the right character, I'd like to see your Slade do some nonsense.
Fun. I especially love just going for forward special shenanigans.
Yeah,
I think we might need to look at specifically forward down down down. No, sorry, forward down down up. I think that one might be too good.
No, let's leave it. Let's let the record be. Well, the record be broken. We'll nerf it when we'll nerf it after. I see some questions. I mean, people still bring up floor hug. I think I talked about it last week on ranked. So the rank stream. So if you want to see my thoughts recently on floor hug, I mean, I think it's in a better place than it's been. Trevor and I don't think we're targeting anything right now. There's nothing like, usually with system changes, we're like, we gotta change them. We're sitting on it for a couple patches, right? Like it's either in beta or we're talking about it and then we try it out.
I don't think we have any that we're sitting on right now.
Yeah, nothing we're sitting on, and there isn't even anything lined up necessarily for floor hug. It's funny, I see so many people, they're like, oh, it's an easy solution of just not, like the actual staying on the ground should only be in CC, right? Like just get rid of non-CC floor hug. The thing is though, when it comes to like these options, it's like the CC or the non-CC floor hug is the one that's keeping these crazy quick attacks at bay, right? Like if because you basically it's like how kind of do you want it to play, right? Because you can be holding down after going for something, right? It prevents something like Olympia down tilts that are shine, these really fast options, which are hard to react to, and also then set up guaranteed combos if you can't floor hug them. And on someone like Zetter, we're talking, it's Shine Up Strong. It's in Rivals 1, and we know what it looks like, and we know how consistent, how important it is to that matchup. I would say like Shine Up Strong, like basically is probably the reason Penguin doesn't have a Genesis crown because full stream analyst all the way up to Grands, and then was like, all right, Absa, cool, let me just bring out Zetter and
that run makes no sense to me. He did like the wrong matchup for every player he fought except Penguin and still won.
Yeah, and then Penguin too, like his Zetter is good, but it was like the big difference was how early, right? How early the stocks were coming off.
Penguin has historically in Rivals 1 had an issue with Zetter burn, like the top level Zetter burns. Right. So it wasn't the most surprising, but it was still like yeah.
So like we've seen it. I think like something like Shine, you want to have that counterplay, and it's like if you only had it to CC, right? The CC is, CC's you're fully actionable, right? So, you could have shielded it, you could have done a lot of things. The one that's half of it, and then the other half is just sorry, that's like kind of how the mechanic is balanced. Like Trevor and I have talked a bit about like some things we want to play with in terms of like not necessarily percents, but just like being a little bit more like deliberate on tilts versus moves. One thing that people liked when we had SSDI was that we were like, hey, jab ones and Shine and Olympia down tilt. We had like these moves where we're like put the auto floor hug on them because they need it.
Yep.
And I think there is something interesting there where it's like, I also agree that like some moves with low scaling just take a little too long, right? Like they're not meant to be floor hugged forever, but they, sometimes it still surprises me like how long, I don't know, like a maple down tilt or I don't even know, like a sour spot of another character's tilt. So maybe there's something there where it's like, hey, if this move is above a certain scaling, then it just, breaks floor hug earlier, but without, the problem is right now it's all based on actual knockback, right? And we don't want to change the knockback so then it's like, okay, to break floor hug, this is now sending too far to get your combos. So it's like, it's a very delicate balance of like, maybe we do want to keep your overall knockback, but we want to like let it break that threshold a little earlier. So maybe there's something there.
I think we have new technology though, don't we? Let me check real quick.
I would love some new technology.
I forget if we actually did it or only like talked about doing it, but we at least talked about making it so you could have a move that specifically doesn't knock down. I forget if we did that.
Oh, the one I wanted on is Absa.
Absa forward tilt too.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted on because I'm like, the reason it works in Rivals 1
is because it's floor huggable until infinite %.
Yes.
But always hits up like a decent amount even at lower %.
Yeah, so basically
it's low scaling but still floor huggable infinitely.
And it has like low hit stun, right? So like one of the things that's interesting about it is it pops like, this is Raster. He's floaty. In Rivals 1, he's going like way higher, getting hit by hit 2 at this %. But then you can floor hug it for forever. So then it's like, yeah, that's what I want. I think Trevor and I were talking about specifically for this move of just doing an override where you can floor hug it forever.
Yeah.
But giving it a much higher base and even doing a little bit lower hit stun val. So it's like, I'm up here, I'm actionable. The thing is though, as someone like Absa, like I want, like this move is good in Rivals 1 because if they don't crouch cancel it or crouch it,
If they don't crouch cancel it, they go up in the air, and then
Yes.
you don't want to build up. So yeah,
Exactly. You're at Whereas this, it's like by the time my recovery's over, yeah, even Raster's grounded. So it's like,
yeah, I love how it works in Rivals.
Yeah, I think that is something I want
Specific
for this move.
for Absa 4 until 2. There are some things I don't like how it works for, but that move, the counterplay is great.
Yeah. And then I
watch
don't know if that specific one for just that move, we would use it on other stuff. Because
I can see it being used on some other projectiles.
Yeah.
Potentially.
But yeah, like even something like Olympia down tilt, for example, like that's a move where you'd want it to be floor huggable forever, but I feel like the knockback when you don't floor hug it, it's already in a good spot and really good.
Shine is the one other move that I would want that on.
Why does Shine get to a point where
before we changed the knockback, it would knock down at like 100.
Okay. Yeah,
on a frame 2 move.
That's like a good example then of like, yeah, just being able to keep it floor huggable forever, but then the knockback can start to get more, right? Without doing knockdown.
Yeah, we cut the scaling in half in a recent patch, which sounds like a lot, but it was from 0.15 to 0.075. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, that move, Shine knocking down feels so bad sometimes.
No, for sure. All right, we got, let's say 4 minutes. We'll probably try to wrap up at 11:10.
I saw a good question earlier, which was,
yeah, go for it.
How do we go about like even thinking about balance changes? Like, do we look at tournament results, ranked? Where do the ideas come from? And the answer to that is all of the above somewhat. Ranked, there's definitely a limit to how much you can really gain from that. If there's a character that's like way above the others across all levels of play, you know there's something wrong. But there can be a character who's not doing as well, who is still balanced, and it doesn't necessarily mean you want to buff them, because sometimes there is a character that is just hard to play. A single mistake might mean you die. The Rivals 1 example is Raster. Raster historically always much worse online, except for Cobra for some reason. Cobra really good online, but Raster historically did worse online and had, I think, the lowest win rate in ranked online in Rivals 1. But the best character offline, or top 2, top 3, like consistently throughout the entire history of the game, in spite of not doing well in ranked.
At one point, Rivals 1 was like, we had a couple patches that they were like amazing, right? Like all the characters between like 47 and 53, and then Raster down at like 39%. And it was like, what?
I think we've had a lot of time in that range in Rivals 2 as well. Except there is also one character who's lower. Not because they're bad, but because it's online.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a mixture of online and a mixture of the ranked results. Especially, I look at, I'm the one who like goes and grabs what data we have and sends it to Trevor. And usually what I do is I look at diamond and up for ranked if I'm looking at a period of time, because that's a good amount of games and limits it to the higher level gameplay. Once you get to like above master, there aren't as many games. Like you might not have 1,000 Raster games above master in some period of time, because there just aren't as many Rasters, something like that.
Yeah.
But limiting it to above diamond is good for getting a good idea of like who's consistently doing well in ranked. And I think that for most patches we have been within probably like 54% at the top and then 46 at the bottom with one character below that. The outlier.
Yeah, no, I think it has been pretty good. I mean, also generally like a new character is not super useful because
the new character is almost always at the bottom.
Yeah,
almost always.
Like even Olympia, right? When people are like,
even
she's
Olympia
so overtuned on release.
There was a period of time where she was actually like
she climbed quick, but she was still, I remember, like
top 2. But yeah, no, at her release, she was
first 2 weeks. I think there was 40%,
I think it was a 1 day
30%.
period. I think it was the first day. She was 70% of all character picks on her release day, and she had like a 38% win rate or something.
Yeah. So
like,
she made
everyone's playing her and knows how to play her.
Every other character looked insanely strong for a bit because they were all getting their wins from one character. And
every single character had above 50% because everyone was playing Olympia and dying with her. It was really funny.
But she had like 5 times the games of anyone else, so she was like. Yeah, she was the only one below 50% win rate for a patch, which I thought was really funny. She's insanely popular, but then she's also like kind of like until you got her recovery, she was just dying. So it's like it made sense. Yeah. Yeah. No. To piggyback on what Luke was saying, like I think in terms of an idea can kind of start anywhere. I think the biggest thing that pushes an idea into action quickly is if Trevor or I were already on moving along that, right? Like we're already like we've either through me playing, him watching tournaments, hearing complaints, we were already like circling around an issue, and then somebody suggests something, or we see something, or we read a note board, or we read a Reddit post, and it goes quick. The other way is like something just coming up a bunch. And like we're like, yes, we agree, but it's like we don't think it's as big of an issue, or the change is going to take more time, but then eventually it boils over. And I would say like Absa down strong is a good example of that. Like we've talked about that internally multiple times before. And I would say even the patch that went out isn't necessarily like as far as we could push it, but it's like, let's like nerf it down a little bit. The size of the down strong. So that's like sorry, I didn't say, who did I say?
I think you said Absa.
I did say Absa. Sorry, I meant Claren. Absa's on my screen. Yeah, it's Claren down strong. Yeah, just pushing it down a little bit, and that's an example of boiling over. I think like in that regard, like players complaining about the same attack isn't necessarily a bad thing, because like the boil over does, eventually, even though we're like, in my head at least, it's like, well, I would have liked to have done a bigger change, but I think for right now, like let's just address it, and then let's come back to it if we need to. That's always a good spot to be. So even though I would say a little bit of the discourse online is like overly negative, when it is like pinpointing down to like singular attacks and singular issues, it does help our team like kind of direct ourselves at at least getting a bridge or a band-aid change in. We went a little bit over.
For looking at tournament results, it's less about whether a character is frequently getting top 8 and more about like the actual gameplay involved. Like if we know that a character can do something and then the players aren't doing that thing, it's not because the character is bad. Not necessarily, at least. Like for the period of time where Rano wasn't getting top 8s, it's because people aren't playing Rano who are good. That's not because Rano's bad. They just all went to the characters they like or stop playing.
Or just didn't show up to certain tournaments, right? I think.
Or didn't show up, yeah.
Yeah, Rano immediately in January had
As I said, Rano's one of the most played characters at high level. But just not the top 10 players, or top 20 even, probably, I think. Except
the Rye?
Swap.
It's pretty close to top
I think
20.
Durai would be top 20.
Push in there.
Hard to say.
Push in there. Top 30?
I think part of Durai's results, a bunch of Durai's good wins aren't from qualifying events for like RCS, so I don't know. I focus more on the
top 30 in our hearts.
I'm thinking about like the big tournaments. I know Durai has like wins on Sophie and whoever else from California locals, but I don't remember if Durai had top 20 level wins at majors. I forget. Thankfully, I haven't had to look at that since Genesis, so I've been.
Let's go.
All of the results of everybody are just exiting my mind.
Let's go. All right, well, let's wrap it up because I gotta go drive Mikey to school because he didn't have morning school today. So, final words. What you got?
The game is more balanced than anybody realizes.
It's so balanced. It's like completely. It's like just it's super balanced.
I don't think any character can't do it, except for if your character has a bad Force Room matchup, because then you have to fight Cake and then you're sad.
Except if your character has a bad Force Room matchup. Wow.
Yeah, whether your character can do it or not is more about how your matchups are against the players you have to fight, rather than your character's overall level.
You know what? Some wisdom there. You're spitting some truth. Sweet. And then if I had a something I wanted you, Luke, to look at personally, I have a really weird interaction that I found, and I have a video clip of it on my computer. What is the best way to alert you of this?
If it's a bug, you can DM me. If it's a balance request, you can put it on Nolt, and I might see it.
Sweet. Good. I like that.
But bugs, definitely DM them straight to me. I love bugs.
The weirder the bug, the more likely you should DM it, right? If it's super niche, find Luke on the Discord.
If someone's teleporting, definitely send me it twice if someone's teleporting. I love teleports.
Okay, cool. And then if it's like, hey, you guys haven't done that Absa 4 tilt thing you said yet, put that on the note.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, Luke. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We should have another one next week. We'll be talking about Slade's animation as of right now. So tune in next week, and I'll see you guys all later.
Bye.
Bye.